I come from an admin background, and this is maybe the first thing to know. There is 1 million ways to become CTAs. I studied with a group of 4 to 15 different people, and we all had a different background. And this is maybe the main takeaway. Whatever somebody tells you, and even whatever I tell you, this is my story. Please take your own way. Please do your own research. Please find your own way. There's the same way as there's 1 million ways to become a CTA, there's 1 million things you can do after you are a CTA. Everybody's doing something different. There's not two people alike. And the CTA should not be your final goal. You should only try to achieve the CTA if you really like to. In my opinion, a senior developer, I'm a tech lead, a thought leader, but also a senior admin, a solution consultant, or a manager can be a target as well as the CTA. CTA is just one of many targets. But before we get started, I support RefugeeForce, as some of you might know. It's a Dutch non-for-profit. They do Salesforce training for refugees. They need two things. The first one is, as always, money. The second one is, if you have the opportunity to hire somebody, might it be a junior admin, junior developer, please go to RefugeeForce.com. They have a great selection of highly motivated people. Now, a short introduction. I'm a Salesforce architect from Berlin. This is what I call. But I'm also a developer by curiosity. I'm an admin by heart. Still to this day, changing a page layout makes me just so happy. I actually take on small clients from time to time where I help them to set up Salesforce, like for 3 users, because it still gives me a lot of joy to be an admin. My main job is Admin's Helper. It's a brand of app exchange packages I'm developing. The first is already live, and the next couple of packages will be released over the next couple of months. And I'm happy to get in contact with all of you on Twitter, on LinkedIn, or on my blog. Just hit me up. I'm always happy to take a call and spend 30 minutes with you. And this already brings me to my story. It was about 6 or 7 years ago. I was part of a Salesforce admin user group. This was my first user group in Berlin. We had cold pizza, and I learned about the power of formula fields. You know, if I studied business, and for me, being able to build something like a formula field was just magic. I didn't know that this was the start for a 6-year-long journey, which led me through dark forests, through very scary places where I had to fight a lot of really nasty enemies. Then, in order to conquer my prince, I had to conquer a big castle. And as we all know, nobody conquers a castle alone. I had to find a group of friends, many friends, which helped me, and where we conquered the castle together. But I can tell you, at the end, I got my prince, I achieved my goal, I got my CTA, but it's not the end of a story. It's just another milestone of a never-ending story. With that, I want to bring you on my personal journey to CTA. But this is, I told you, my journey. And please always check Salesforce for the latest information. This is my forward-looking statement. You know, things always change. My story, my time. Most of you might know the Salesforce Certified Technical Architect. Just a super short reminder here. It is still the final goal. It is still the hardest certification out there. The B2C solution architect is great. It's not where the CTA is yet. The CTA is, I can put it this way, more people have been to space than got the CTA. We have currently about 300 to 400 CTAs globally. It's hard to calculate. In order to get the CTA, first we have to have, I think it's 9 different certifications. I would say most people who get the CTA have like 15 plus certifications. And on top of that, most people say once you get these 15 certifications, you're half the way there. So it looks like just one more certificate, but actually it's double the effort. Many people try to get the CTA. Most people stop somewhere along the way and some pass. So we have roughly maybe 20 to 50 passes a year. Nobody knows the exact number, just to give you a rough idea. So the CTA is not getting easier. It's harder and easier at the same time. I will go into that later. So yes, it's the peak of the pyramid. And why did Salesforce introduce the CTA? The CTA, Salesforce wanted to ensure for their customers that their solutions are built properly. And if you have a CTA on board, at least you avoid the biggest mistakes. We still don't, a CTA still doesn't know everything, but at least can avoid most mistakes. And it takes a lot to become a CTA. I don't want to understate that. I can talk about, I interviewed quite a few people who became CTA. So first of all, the exam is a 6-hour exam, at least. You have 3 hours of preparation where you sit alone in your room or in front of the laptop and solve a requirement. And then you have 45 minutes of presentation and 45 minutes of Q&A. And together with breaks, it adds up to 6.5 hours. It's not a multiple choice test. You have 3 CTAs who are judges and who kill you on just the smallest detail. So people always ask me, do I need to know that and that for CTA? And my answer is always yes. You have to know everything about Salesforce and much, much more. There's nothing you can say, no, I don't need to know that. Yes, there's some certain topics you don't have to be as deep as others, but you basically have to know everything. And you don't have to know everything about coding. This is actually a disclaimer here. So I didn't know about the don't serialize method before Mohit posted this question yesterday. So but everything else you have to really, really know. The investment is quite substantial. So most people invest something between $8,000 and $20,000 and 500 to 1,500 hours in preparation time. So I invested on the upper end of both. I invested something like $16,000 to $18,000 and 1,450 hours of preparation. It's quite a lot. But why did I do it? There is the obvious reasons. Money. You earn a lot of money once you're a CTA. It's just, you can choose your jobs easily. Like Mira said, once she became MVP, actually the contacts I get from headhunters since I'm CTA are really lower, much lower, but the offers I get are much higher. And interviews are really funny because since you're a CTA, the interview is kind of the other way around. But why I did it, I think I just like to study, I like to become better, I like to understand, and I like puzzles. So it was just something which is really challenging. I like this kind of work. And it gives you instant credibility in every project. And I hoped it would overcome my imposter syndrome. I always feel like I don't know anything. The issue is I still do that. Even I became CTA, I still feel like I know nothing about the Salesforce platform. I talk to somebody like Mira and I feel so stupid again. I talk not because she makes me feel stupid, but she knows so much. I talk to Mohit and he knows so much and I feel like stupid. I talk to Gaurav and I feel like, oh God, I have to study. This morning what I did, I studied. What I did yesterday, I studied. Just because you're a CTA doesn't mean you don't study anymore. I think CTAs even study more and harder because most of them want to study. And I think this is the main reasons why I became CTA. I just like to study. And it started for me 2015. 2015, I had 1 year of experience as a Salesforce admin consultant. I had 3 certifications. I worked at a small end customer. So already first, most people think you have to work for Deloitte, Accenture so far to become a CTA. Absolutely not true. It helps, kind of, but it's not necessary. So I worked for a small end customer here in Berlin, 200 users, as a part-time Salesforce admin. The opposite of what everybody tells you you have to do to become a CTA. And back then I learned that there are CTAs. I learned the story that there was this one guy from Brazil who is a CTA, which was flown into Berlin for 1 day to fix a project. I mean, he couldn't fix the project, but people thought, since he's a CTA, that he can do some kind of magic, which he obviously can't. So the project still failed horribly, but it was not his fault. So this is how I started. And I learned about CTAs and I learned about architecture. And I learned that architecture is so much more than just development. Architecture is so much more than just admin stuff. Architecture is all these topics here, or to take it from the Salesforce Certified Technical Architect exam guide, which should be your Bible. If you want to become the CTA, the exam guide should be your Bible. You should read, not Bible, sorry. I don't want to use this word. You should read that over and over again. So to read it out to you, Salesforce technical architects serve as executive level strategic advisors who focus on business transformation with unrivaled domain expertise in functional platform and integration architecture. They communicate technical solutions and design trade-offs effectively to business stakeholders and provide a delivery framework that ensures quality and success. Coming back to your group here, you know what it doesn't say? Anything about coding. Nowhere in here it says you have to be a good coder. It doesn't, because what you need to be able to, first of all, you have to be really good in highlighting. I think this is one of my core strengths now. When I did so much highlighting over the last 12 months. So you have to be, I learned back then, what do I need to do to become a CTA? I have to have a lot of standard Salesforce knowledge. I was medium at best there. I have to know about Salesforce architecture, none. Coding understanding, I had none. So this is where the coding comes in. System architecture, none. Data modeling, bad. Actually, I thought I'm pretty good, but I think I was really bad, really, really bad. I'm so sorry for my customer from back then. So many custom objects. Integration and so many lookup fields. Integration architecture, none. I had no idea. Governance and DevOps, none. C-level thinking, none. Communication skills, okay-ish. So you see here, coming back, coding is just one topic, and it's just coding understanding. That's it. So I had a lot of reds and only a few medium. And I had one trick up my sleeve. I only work part-time, which means I study 8 to 16 hours every week for the last 6 years, at least. Every single week. I still do this to this day. Also, I'm now a freelancer, so I don't have a boss anymore, and I study at least 1 day a week, or other way around. I usually work 1 week or 2 weeks, and then I study for 1 week. Still, every single week, because I know if you just do it constantly, every day, every week, study a little bit, it really improves your performance a lot, and you get closer to your goal. I mean, it took me 6 years, but eventually you get there. And this is something I can give you, is make studying part of your routine. I think we are all paid to be experts. Our customers expect us to be experts. And the only way of making sure we are experts is studying. Hands-on experience only gets you so far. The real key is to study. And this is for the admins out there, but also it can be true for you, because I share the same with you. Do I need to know coding to become an architect? Absolutely not. I mean, from the people I study with, we have been a group of 4. I think 2 of them don't know any codes, and one of them, that's me, is really bad at coding. So actually only one of us was actually a coder. One. You don't need to be an expert in coding. You need to understand what code can do. You need to understand what code not can do, how to talk to developers. I still would recommend that you should know basics, like you have to, because it helps, it's yourself. And it helps you to understand complex flows. It helps you to build stuff yourself, design solutions, a little credibility with the coding folks. And it helps me as an admin to be self-sufficient. But that's it. Once you achieved these topics, you don't have to learn any more coding to become a CTA. If you want to still learn more coding because you like coding, absolutely go for it, but it doesn't get you any closer to become a CTA. I don't have to tell you how I close the coding gap. You already did that. I can do the same one for you as how do I close my admin gap, I hope you're interested. So start with Trailhead. Do all the admin trails. Like seriously, even if you're going for this being an amazing developer, do the admins, because the more you know about the platform and the admin side of the platform, the better of a developer you're gonna be. Become, in your case, certified admin and advanced admin, app builder, and app builder. These 3 are absolute must-have. And have you noticed that? Do you guys know Krishna and woman? Anyway, Krishna, she's on her journey to CTA, and you know what? She just got the Sales and Service Cloud certification. You have to get it anyway. Get your Sales and Service Cloud certification. It's a really great certification. And if you want to become CTA, it's not technically a requirement, but you have to have the knowledge anyway. So just get it. Do side projects, and like do admin side projects. The same is do admin non-for-profit work. And the last one is you developers volunteer for admin bug fixing. I did the same for coding. This is how I learned to code. oftentimes Mondays, not Mondays, Tuesdays, Wednesdays, Thursdays evening, I just stayed longer in the office for 2-3 hours and went into our code bug backlog, as where we had the cases, and checked for bugs and tried to figure out what is the issue with why is this bug occurring. And this way I learned coding. Nobody asked me to, but my team lead never complained that I did volunteer for bug fixing. And this was a great way to get started, and you can do the same. Volunteer for being an admin. I guarantee you, if you do a couple of 100 hours of working on admin, you will become such a better developer. But you still don't have the experience being an admin, and you don't have the experience of C-level. And I had so many areas I didn't have experience, hands-on experience, because you can never have hands-on experience on everything. It's just not possible because the platform is moving so fast. If you wait until you have hands-on experience for everything, you're never going to be there. So I can tell you where I don't have any experience. I never worked as an integration architect. I never worked as a coder. I never did C-level thinking because I was working for startups. In startups, you don't do C-level thinking. I never, what else? There's so much else I never did. I never had hands-on experience with communities. I never had hands-on experience with mobile. I never had hands-on experience with social login. I never had hands-on experience with an integration platform. If I would have waited until I have hands-on experience with everything, I would never be there. So I had to substitute experience. The first one is, of course, do your homework, trailheads and certifications. On top of that, I always go into, so every time I cover a topic, I read all the blogs, I join study groups, I go to community events, I go to forums, really scour the topic. Don't just somehow pass the certification. Usually when I pass a certification, I pass at least 90% because I want to make sure I really understand the topic. And then we talked about side projects. Very often I do make-believe side projects. Once, coming back when I wanted to become a coder, I programmed a voice-controlled Salesforce. I was very proud of it. Nobody was interested. Nobody cared. It took me 3 months. It was completely useless, but it was a great side project. It really helped me to get started. Do the same with the other topics where you do lack experience. So you lack experience in communities, build a community for your kids' school, even if they don't ask for, even if you will never release it, just do it. Do side projects. Non-for-profit work, as always. Once and lastly, this is only once you have done everything else. Do expert interviews. Let's say, as for me, I had no experience about DevOps. So I did the trailheads, I read all the blogs and study groups, I watched a lot of videos on DevOps. I did my own make-believe side projects, which was actually a great experience. And then once I had sufficient knowledge, I called up a couple of DevOps experts and talked to them about DevOps. Do this only once you're really ready, because otherwise you will just waste somebody's time at this. The expert on the other side will ask, why didn't you just read the blog? So make sure the expert gets something out of it. But to summarize it here, you can substitute experience. So not easily, it takes time, it takes effort, but it's absolutely possible. Don't anybody let discourage you from substitute experience. And this brings me to the challenges. So far, it sounds all great and gloomy. I just went there. I studied every week, 8 to 16 hours. I substituted my experience. It wasn't that gloomy. It wasn't that easy. There was the first topic, lack of motivation. It's a long journey. It was 6 years for me. Every single day, every week. Go on, go on, go on. Becoming an architect is harder than becoming a team lead. The lack of motivation comes from different areas. First of all, you don't get any credit. Nobody says amazing if you did like your 255th trail. Nobody says great, well done if you just watched a 2-hour video on DevOps. You don't get any positive feedback or encouragement. And in promotions, it's the same. Becoming a team lead, I know it's not that easy, but it's actually easier than becoming an architect, because architect takes years and years of training. So I felt that I have a lack of promotions, a lack of feedback. I mean, I had a great team. Don't take me wrong. Here.com, Oribene, amazing. Still, it takes a long time. It is a really long-term investment. I invested years and years to get there. And oftentimes I was doubtful. There was my inner doubt, just on a daily basis, can I really do that? But there was also a lot of external people who just straight out told me, you're an admin, you never can do that. You're not working for Accenture, Deloitte, you never can do that. You have to be working for Salesforce, you can do it. You're just not cut out. One person straight out told me, you're not architect material. You know what? And I was 5 years into my preparation, and one person came to me and said, you're never going to be an architect. You're just not architect material. This is hard. You have to get over this. I visualize my goal. I'm going to be a CTA. I'm going to be a CTA. I'm going to be a CTA. But it's still hard. I don't want to hide this fact from you. There will be challenges. Your family, your friends, your company, everybody. This will not be easy. But I was lucky. I was lucky to work for here.com, which is a great company. And I got promoted out of the blue suddenly after 4 years, because the company actually grew. None of that was my own success. It was just random. The company grew to 1,000 Salesforce users and 25 people Salesforce team. I became a technical product owner, which was, I think, my favorite job to this day. Actually, I think I am. And I have 350 trails and 16 certifications. This was a great achievement, and this was what actually set the foundation together with my Salesforce, small but professional Salesforce knowledge network. And one thing I want to give you, and this is especially important for everybody who's a developer. This doesn't matter if you become an admin, if you become an architect, a tech lead, a team lead, or even just a thought leader. You have to be a good public speaker, at least decent. And I wasn't that good, so I had to learn that. This is me actually on Dreamforce. 2 years, as 2019, it was an amazing experience. My presentation was mastering project management for admins. I submitted 5 different topics, and this was my weakest one, I thought, and this was the only one was accepted. But back to the story. I didn't start by becoming a Dreamforce speaker. Becoming a Dreamforce speaker was actually the end of a long, long journey. Yes, back like 2015, 2016, I started to give as many presentations as I somehow can. I spoke at every user group meeting possible. I gave as many presentations within my team as possible. Every time I finished a topic to research and to study, I prepared a presentation and I shared with my team. And with presentations as with everything else, you just become better with practice. Practice, 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 practice. Yes, even that presentation today, I give on a regular basis, and every time I give it, it becomes better. And before I gave it the first time, I practiced this presentation of today like 5 times, and 2 times of them recorded. It's always. So take any chance to do a presentation you can. And for Dreamforce, I did a lot of dreaming presentation, like at local community events. And for Dreamforce, I have a special tip for you, 2-1. The first one is, it took me 150 hours to become a Dreamforce speaker. It started, for me, the process started 12 months ahead of time, by collecting ideas, actually fleshing out the ideas, writing the abstracts, giving test presentations, see what topics work. So I started with a range of like 10 to 15 ideas, then slowly it became 8 ideas, then it became 5 topics. The 5 topics I worked on for about 6 months. I submitted these 5 topics, and then I worked another 100 hours on my final presentation. So, and by that time, I already had a couple of 100 presentations in as a practice from all these years before, where I just gave as many presentations as I could. So walk before you run, but start walking. And I think Mira here in our group is just one of the best examples of how amazing speaker you can be, even as a developer. I think key is be passionate. I never talk about nothing I'm not passionate about. I tried a few times. I'm just super bad at it. So anything you are passionate about, talk about, and practice, 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 especially for developers. And especially for developers, the next one is true. Leave the Salesforce bubble. Yes, I say you, this is true for everybody. Be inconvenient. So for admins, this means, also for me, what does it mean for me? Last week, I was at the Software Architect Summit of Java developers. Java software architecture. You know why? They have the same issues as we have. They are just 5 years ahead of us. Exactly the same problems, 5 better solutions because they are more advanced. What I did to become inconvenient. I took a communication class, English class. By the way, English class. This is so under. All of you speak fluently English. Anyways, you always can become better. I'm always doing English classes all the time. Just become better. Either online with your friends, whatever. Just make becoming better in speaking and writing your habit, because we basically make our money speaking and writing. It's kind of what we do. Communication class, English class, UX class, business case writing, finance class. What else? Meditation, sport. Oh, meditation is very important. Yeah, a PyData class, marketing cloud, user groups, JavaScript development, so much more. Find outside allies. Talk to people who are not Salesforce. Oh, I did an internship with partner management, an unpaid internship for 2 weeks. Not because I wanted to become a partner manager. I wanted to learn how our partner managers work. I went to work in the Miami office for a month, where I had to work day and night, which was really hard, but I learned how Americans think. Become inconvenient as often as possible. Study groups. Don't form study groups with your friends. Form study groups with people who are as different from you as possible. The more different people are, the more you learn. And all that together brought me to 2019. On the right side, you see a nice train. So the foggy road became actually a nice train. I knew what was ahead of me. I had kind of a grip on it. I felt pretty good. I think I was a little overconfident. I think this is just a theme there. You have to be a little bit crazy and overconfident to actually go for it. So my Salesforce knowledge became good. So architecture, coding understanding, medium. I think I overestimated my coding understanding. System architecture still bad. Data modeling, medium. Integration, DevOps, C-level, absolutely horrible. Communication skills, slightly better. So I had to work on my C-level thinking. How do I do that? You know, I'm not a C-level. So should I stop now? No. I did my usual. I interviewed C-level people. As a first, again, I did some classes on C-level thinking, and I talked to you like communication class and stuff like that. I watched a lot of YouTube videos. I read a few blogs. I read a few books on that, and then I interviewed a couple of CTOs. You know, one of them was a former colleague, as my former CTO, but the others were random CTOs from LinkedIn. It actually, you would be surprised how easy it is to get somebody to talk to you for half an hour if you did your homework. You know, I never wrote them, hey, can you please help me? No, I always had a specific topic, which was an advanced topic where I think they have been experts. But anyway, I had 3 simple questions. What do you expect me as an architect to tell you as a CTO? This was actually a simple question, and most CTOs gave me a simple answer. Second was, what was the standard or the most common mistakes people like me make? You know, we always make the same mistakes. For example, we talk too much. I talk too much. Third one was, how do I structure my sentences? This was the most powerful one. The CTA told me it's super simple. It's business requirement, solution, considerations, mitigation. Business requirement, solution, consideration, mitigation. You would think we should be creative. No, he likes it if we just standardize the sentences. So, but these interviews really gave me a great way of thinking like a CTO. I'm still no CTO, but I got closer and it helped me. And so I could start my final marathon. I did something I think nobody else did before, and it's very unique, but I had the opportunity. I'm very privileged in the sense that I live in Germany. My life is pretty cheap. I don't have kids, no dogs, no cats, a family to support. So for 11 months, I did nothing but full-time journey to CTA. I studied every day, 5 to 7 days a week. I was part of at least 3 study groups. I did 35 mock exams every morning, 7 o'clock for a study group, usually 8 or 9 o'clock in the evening, last video. But don't be fooled. I actually only studied 4 to 6 hours a day. I learned in between. I had long breaks because I learned there's a diminishing return of studying. You know, is if you study more than 6 hours a day, it actually, or 4 hours, it doesn't actually help anymore. Your brain just shuts down. So after 4 hours of study, I usually just watched videos or listened podcasts or went for actually running. I told you at the beginning that the exam is really long, so I knew I had to be bodily fit. I was never as fit in my life as on the day of my CTA exam. It sounds kind of funny, but doing meditation and sport was as important as doing all the Salesforce studying. So I did this for 11 months. It was a great time. I made a lot of friends and I became kind of this guy. I had 2 breakdowns, really bad breakdowns, and I still feel a little bit burned out. Let me start at the end. 3 months after, for 3 months after my CTA review board, I couldn't study anymore, like literally nothing. I couldn't open Trailhead. I could write blog posts and I could publish my content, but I couldn't do anything new anymore. My brain was just stuck. During my CTA preparation, I had 2 breakdowns. I think both times I made the same mistake. I didn't do any breaks anymore. I started to study for 7 days a week. And at some point, my brain just shut down. I closed my laptop. I wrote a WhatsApp to my study group and said, hey, I cannot join today. I cannot join tomorrow. I don't know if I can join ever again. I hated Salesforce. Both times it went away after a week or 2 of vacation. So make sure you plan for breaks. Don't just study straight for 6 months. This is my learning. But I got there. 11 months later, I had a review board date. I felt ready. You never feel really ready for the review board, but I felt like I can do this. I am. So as you can see, most of it was yellow, but some was green. I felt okay. And then the big day came. It was a complete virtual exam. So I sat at home. It was 6.5 hours end to end. I had nice but challenging judges. Everything worked. The internet didn't break. My laptop didn't crash. I had no blackout, whatever. And I could eat all the sweets in my life. This is actually not my desk, but this was like, this day, I said, whatever I do, I had all the desk full of food. This was the best thing. This is actually the only thing I really remember, that I could eat all the time, all the sweets and all the unhealthy food. And after I got my CTA, I'm at my review board, I actually gained 5 kilos. I think my body just, shut down. But anyway, it was really, really exhausting experience. It was long. I think it was the hardest thing I ever did in my life. And I'm so glad I don't have to do it again. This is actually the major feeling I had during the review board itself. I was like, hopefully I don't have to do this again. Hopefully I don't have to do this again. And I didn't. I got it. One Wednesday morning, I opened my email. Okay, I opened my email program like 5 million times a day, but Wednesday morning I got up, checked my emails, and there was it. You know this email you get when you pass a normal certification? It's actually the same email. It's so funny. You get exactly the same email. I got my CTA, and I thought this is the end of a journey, but it's actually not. It's just a milestone. It's just one another milestone. Actually, people always ask me what changed. Nothing. Yes, my job changes a little bit. I can do these presentations now. My role in the community changed a little bit, but from who I am, how I feel like matters, says nothing changes. It's the same. I still have to study. I still have to do the dishes. I still have to cook. By the way, oh God, I think my partner missed to get up. I still have to do the breakfast. I still have to do sport. It's just another milestone. But I learned one thing. This is collaboration. Collaboration is key to success. If I could change one thing, going back to 2015, I would start to collaborate earlier. And I would collaborate outside of my bubble. Up to the CTA, up to the last year, I did most of my certifications alone. I wouldn't do that again. I would form study groups early on. I would form global study groups immediately. It's just so much more effective. Nobody gets there alone. This presentation wasn't done by me alone. This presentation was done by is a collaboration of Alex and Johannes, but I also have so many people to thank. Some of their names are here on the slides. Big shout out to Mira here again. Mira is just my hero of 2020. Thank you so much. Collaboration is the key to success. And this is something for you developers. Don't just collaborate with other developers. To collaborate with admins, with architects, with business people, because you have to be able to communicate in so many levels. This is something you only can practice. You can't learn it. And the earlier you learn it, the better. And with that, 6 years later, I am a CTA. I could conquer my prince. Yes, I slay all the dragons. I got the castle. I became a CTA. Thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to talk here.